What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Immersive Arcade Podcast. This may or may not be a quarters. We're not entirely sure yet, but we'll get to that when we get to it. We're gonna try talking about The Last of Us Part 2. We had a pod loaded for this, and yours truly had technical issues, so we're doing this again. Man, that shit's getting old, but whatever. It's fine this time because like I was saying, we're adding to it a little bit, but still. Uh,
Right.
you want to start us off, or how you want to go?
Sure. Why not? I've been playing The Last of Us Part 2 lately, and I started playing it because of the patch, but I stopped playing it originally because I guess I couldn't really generate interest because I was not happy with the gameplay. The story was satisfying to me, except for like the ending. I wanted the ending to be different than what it was. But it's not bad enough to the point where it's like, man, I need them to change it. I hate Naughty Dog, all that bullshit. And yeah, after replaying through the game and reanalyzing everything, and just to be clear, I loved the game from the start. I thought the story was dope and all that shit. I just thought the gameplay needed some tweaks, but upon playing it again, I realized that those tweaks were there. I just never messed with those tweaks because of my mindset. They got different cheats and they got different accessibility things. And I said cheats is the first thing. I don't know why, but they have different things to help you or to make you play the game and let you enjoy it. And there's no difficulty related trophy, so I just sort of like did that. I did that to myself.
Right.
But the main thing I want to talk about is the story. The story is super good. I think it's pretty good, at least to me.
Yeah.
I think it's better than The Last of Us Part 1, like 100%. It's not even a doubt in my mind.
Right.
Because I think that Last of Us Part 1 was, I think the journey was pretty epic, but I think that Last of Us Part 2, that not only was both of the journeys epic, but they, I don't know, it was just very thought provoking. Um, Ellie and I'm sorry, let me get back to that here in a second. The executive producer, Neil Druckmann, I think that's his title, or was his title. I think he's like, you know, executive producer at Naughty Dog, period, now. But he said that the game starting out was going to be a tale of vengeance, and that it is. It's a tale of vengeance for both Ellie and Abby. It's a cycle of vengeance, is more specifically what he said.
Yeah.
And after playing the game, again, it's like I realized it was a cycle of vengeance while I was playing, but playing it again, it's like, man, you don't realize how deep of a cut um, Ellie makes towards Abby, and you know, you think, oh man, well she killed a lot of her friends, but Abby killed her dad figure, but it's like Abby's dad figure had been killed, and her dad had been killed, and you know, all she had was friends, and Ellie just murdered them all. And Abby took it upon herself. Spoiler alert for all this.
Yeah.
I mean, the game's been out.
I was gonna say it's old enough. It doesn't need a spoiler alert. At this, anybody who's played the game, they've already played it.
Right. Abby spares Ellie and Dina, and she did that to break the cycle of vengeance. But Ellie couldn't let it go, and then at the end, she lets it go for the benefit. I like to believe of Lev, the transgender character. That people, if you had to talk about somebody being transgender, I guess that would be the person.
Right.
But why would you do that anyway?
Right.
Don't be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's basically what we want to talk about, I guess, is how much people hate that game and how they're individually and collectively a waste of life.
Yes.
Like I don't understand. where people were coming from when they found out about the leaks. Like, you know, oh well, Joel died. Like Joel, me and Anubis have talked about this at length. Like Joel, if we're being generous, you know, is he's in his like mid-40s. If we're being generous, but I believe Joel, and I haven't done a lot of research on this. I believe Joel in The Last of Us Part 2 is like either early or mid 50s, you know, and he got ganged up on. His brother, you know, started announcing his name. It's been like, what, 4 or 5 years that they've been at peace. They
Yeah.
pretty much thought everything was good, and they just had rotten luck.
Right.
And people can't understand that, but, you know, people will overlook things like, you know, in Last of Us Part 1, Joel all of a sudden gained the strength of a fucking gorilla when a dude almost stabbed his neck with some glass. I don't know if you remember that scene specifically, Josh.
There's plenty of scenes like that in part one, and I mean I can chalk that up to adrenaline and whatnot because that's what happens. You know, you're fighting for your life. But like, if I want to compare what happened with Tommy and Joel revealing themselves to Abby and her crew to any part in part one, you know, like when they go and find Bill for help, Bill knows them, but he's been living in that town by himself the entire time. He doesn't like people. He doesn't really want to help anybody. You know, what made Bill drop his guard to help Joel and almost said Abby, which we'll talk about that shit because that's one reason why I wanted to redo this. But Joel and Ellie, you know, that technically that was out of character for him. That was everybody. Oh, it's out of character. He never would have said their names just like that, motherfucker. They didn't know that Abby was out there, but
Right. And, you know, that thing about Bill, to me, I always just chalk that up to, you know, seen him from afar because he's Bill. He probably has a nest somewhere where he's just safe or something.
yeah, and that could also be true.
But again, that's one of the things that, you know, games like The Last of Us and other games, you know, they kind of have trouble with. They sort of let players fill in the blanks, and then they're all sorts of wrong about everything.
Yeah.
You know, the same people who made Last of Us Part 1 made Last of Us Part 2. And, you know, what are they telling them on their fucking posts? Like, oh, well, you know, Joel would never. You know what? The dude who created Joel could say, no, he would. And what the fuck are you going to say about that?
Right.
I wouldn't say that. It's not even an inconsistency, man. It's just, people say there's a bunch of inconsistencies with The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know. Every time I try and confront somebody about it, they don't have anything to say but that scene where he gave up his name. And it's like, bro, this is the stupidest fucking thing you could bring up. Like, if you watch any TV show, they let a lot of shit slip when they're not supposed to. In, like, almost any drama TV show you see.
Right.
You know?
It's literally how you move a story forward. In most cases, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, Last of Us Part 2 to them would have been what? Joel, they killed Tommy, so Joel and Ellie go to kill them, and they have like a conflict of if they should really do it or not. Like, no, Joel just fucking murder him.
Right.
You know, that's just who Joel is. You know, but, you know, people can't get that through their heads, and they just want to bash Naughty Dog now, and it's trash. They're really trash people, man. You know,
It's like, really bad. I can't get over. And you know, like I said, the first time we tried to do this, you're bashing Naughty Dog for being inclusive, which I mean, why? I don't know why people just don't believe that trans people don't exist. I guess I don't know if that's what it is or what, but then you're bashing on a character that you're wrong about. You're bashing on the voice actress for doing the character, for either wanting to work or for just I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. Like you're sending her death threats and shit, and then you're totally ignoring the actual trans character. And I don't know. You know, like I said last time, I don't know if it's because you've played the game and you're just that much of an asshole where you want to ignore Lev, or you're stupid because you haven't played the game at all and you just don't know. So
You know, who knows, man? Like people are so driven by hate, and it's ridiculous. I fucking hate it, you know. And I told you they didn't hear it, but I'll tell them now. There's this guy. He's a real know-it-all type asshole. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
He's always been that way, as far as I've known him. But we got into an argument because I had posted about how humble Neil Druckmann was because he gave it to Ghost of Tsushima because they had won an award
right,
that they hadn't won.
right,
And let me be clear, The Last of Us Part 2 has won a ton of awards. Not that it makes any difference to me. I'm going to feel how I feel about the game regardless.
right,
You know, there's nothing that can make me feel any different. But, you know, their accolades, and they're proud to get those accolades. So when somebody else gets those accolades, and you give them their credit, because they did indeed make a dope-ass game that was different from what we had been seeing in recent history, you know, I think that's classy, because they weren't even necessarily in competition. They just sort of, you know, they both worked for Sony, and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, let's fast forward. This guy, he came at me saying that Last of Us didn't deserve any awards or blah, 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 ha, ha. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember everything. It was about like several months ago. And I was just like, bro, what was so bad about The Last of Us Part 2? Can't tell me anything. Story inconsistencies. Alright, this is the same motherfucker who complains about censorship in video games nowadays. People like that are weird off the top, let me just tell you.
man,
They're weird off the top because I understand you don't want things to be censored. I don't want some things to be censored either. You know, I mean, I really don't want anything to be censored. I'm a grown ass man. But,
right,
you know, when it gets to a point where it's a fucking game with teenage Japanese schoolgirls that have titties flying everywhere, Senran Kagura, you're mad about Sony not putting titties or ass crack in a game, like, and you think that, you know, the motherfucking studio that makes the game is just gonna leave Sony because they won't allow them to make ass cracks on these teenage girls. Like, you look like a fucking weirdo, you know? You look like a fucking weirdo more so than you think I look like a fucking weirdo for liking the story of a game that's completely fine.
right.
You know? I don't have that much fucking hate in my heart. But, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to segue into the whole Ellie Abby thing. You want to take that away?
Yeah, I'm gonna just get into it. What was like the very first trailer that showcased Abby, and then they had it was Abby being saved by Lev and his sister. I don't remember her name, and I just played the game. Yeah, Yara. But everybody thought Abby was Ellie, and nobody said shit. Everybody talked about how jacked that she was, but nobody had shit negative to say at that time.
Let me interject real quick.
Uh-huh.
Which is funny because I don't remember if this was before or after. No, it was after. It was right after. Neil Druckmann, or it might not have been Neil Druckmann, it might have been someone else on the team. I don't remember. You know, I feel bad for saying Neil Druckmann so much, but it's the guy I remember. He's the fucking face of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So sue me. But the guy was like, we'll tell you more about that character later. And when he said tell you more about that character, it didn't click with me. It might have clicked with other people. Maybe I'm just dumb.
I don't think it clicked with anybody because, like I said, everybody thought that was Ellie. Everybody was making all kinds of jokes about how jacked she was.
Yeah, I thought that he was talking about the girl that got fucking killed with need to know about her for?
Right.
She's gone. But I started thinking like, oh no, what did she do?
Right.
You know, yeah, it was about making comments about how Jack Ellie was, etc., etc. But please continue. I interrupted.
No, that's all I wanted to say, because no, I don't even know like where to go with that from there, because everybody, as soon as everybody found out it was Abby, and everybody's seeing that she killed Joel, then everybody was, oh, she's a trans character, huh? And then, it goes back to what I've been saying. Everybody's just mad about Joel being dead, and that fucking, it don't make sense like at all. You like you said, being generous, Joel was like 40, and yeah, late 40s, and then you said early to mid 50s. I would say 60 even. Whatever, however old Joel is, he's old as fuck, especially for how he's been living. And like we've said multiple times, he almost didn't make it out the first game, number one. So the fact that anybody thought he was going to make it through the second one, I don't believe you really thought that. I just don't. Not in the slightest.
I thought he was going to die from Jump Street. So.
I wanted him to, and that like I said the first time that we tried to do this, it's not that I dislike Joel. Joel is a great character, wonderful even, but his number was up. It was up multiple times in the first game. He just, for the sake of this game, because I almost guarantee you that they had this game in the works since the first one, or like coming up on the end of the first one. They had to push him through it. I say had, but it's more like wanted to.
Yeah. And you just gotta use your common sense. Like, that's all you need to do, basically, to get that assumption that he may die.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that is like the toughest thing in the world for some people, and it's unfortunate that so many people feel this way, but
I don't even think I can. Unfortunate is a word I would use if like people didn't know better. Like this is something that should be common sense for people. Just don't be an asshole. Fucking xenophobic, racist assholes. Like I don't. It's
xenophobic, racist, sexist.
Like yo, don't. I'm sorry. You said unfortunate, and that just. Damn, I don't want to use the word triggering, but that's what it was.
that was a bit too pleasant for what I really wanted to say. I just think those people are just...
They're fucking dumb.
Like a worse word for them.
Like you said earlier, waste of space. Waste of breath of life.
Yeah, like... Can we talk about something else?
Yeah, my bad. And see, anybody who knows me, I can't play about none of that shit. So, and let me add this in here, because in case we get canceled or some shit, it's me. I fucking hate y'all bastards. Y'all, nope. Anybody else, like I'm not saying that anybody else doesn't share my opinions, does share my opinions, but I will be vocal about it on my shit, because y'all should fucking evolve or get the fuck out of the way, kill yourselves. It's 2021. It's 2021. Fucking just appreciate other people.
Right.
God damn. It's not that hard.